Okay, can you guys hear me at the back? Okay. So I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. Now I'm feeling a bit nervous because of time. But again, I'll try to get through as quickly as possible. It's not a lot of stuff. First of all, I was very excited after listening to Brother Abdul Haq. He teaches my son this year. So the stuff he's saying, I'm like kind of nodding and agreeing, and I know pretty much exactly what he's talking about. So my job now, after he went and talked about all that and outside of the box kind of teaching style, is to take what I've learned in university about how to coordinate a curriculum. And there's so much pressure on a teacher that we have to get through the curriculum. We have to get, you know, whether you're teaching in private school or public school, you have to finish the curriculum. You must. And I've seen teachers just zip through things. Kids have no idea what's going on. It's going over their head just because they have to finish the curriculum. Having said that, there is a need that, yes, you have to go through the curriculum. But what we like to say at Tarbiyah Learning is that we want our kids to master the curriculum. So it's not just about let's check off everything. It's about mastering the curriculum and then perhaps moving on to like the next level. So the Ontario curriculum is broken up into overall expectations and specific expectations. Okay, so when I'm teaching as a teacher, when I want to make out a lesson plan or a weekly plan or a long-term plan, I'm looking at specific expectations. I'm not looking at overall expectations. So I'm looking at the specific expectations for the different subject areas and different grade levels, and then I'm basing my lesson plans on that. So what I want to show you is one tool that we would perhaps use for that. For example, you're teaching grade 5. The math curriculum has various strands, one of them being measurement. So you're doing grade 5 measurement. How do you ensure, or how do I ensure, because it's my job to kind of monitor Brother Abdul Haq in his outside-of-the-box teaching style, but still to make sure that he's following what's on the Ontario curriculum. These are the overall expectations for grade 5 measurement. So as I said, we're looking at the specific expectations, broken down into 2 categories: attributes, units, and measurement sense, and measurement relationships. Okay, so what he's doing, and he's got one of these for every age group that's in his class. So he's got one for grade 4, 5, 6, whatever his class is made up of. And maybe he has some kids that are really 3, but at the grade 5 level. So I am providing him with this document, or a document like this. As he's going through, and each one has a student's name on it, and he's basically checking off, but not checking off like, okay, yeah, I've done that, you know, I've 50% of my effort, I did it. No, he's making sure the students master it. And this can be provided to the parents too, along with, you know, the term report cards or progress reports. So that the parents, when they're going through this, if they see check mark here and so on and so forth, but they don't see a check mark here, they know exactly what they need to work on with their students. And this is coming from the Ontario curriculum, which we are supposed to be following. Okay, so this would, in terms of every subject area and every grade, we would have one of these. So that would be the first point there. The second point, okay, but how are we going to make sure I mean, what if he takes all year to do grade 5 measurement? Because they like to do a lot of exploration and they do a lot of field trips. What if he doesn't cover grade 5 measurement? Then what do we do? There has to be a time frame. So when you talk time frame, you talk LRP, which stands for long range planning. Every teacher's nightmare. I had to do long range planning when I was working, and we had to have our long range plans in by October 21st of every year. And the teachers would complain and they would say, why do we have to do this? Now as an administrator, I totally understand why we have to do this, because otherwise, how do you know if the teachers are covering the curriculum or not? So this is one example of a long year plan. Let's say I have grades 4 to 6. Us had already talked about spiral curriculum. So the curriculum overlaps or it builds upon in subject areas from grades 4 to 6. And I have grade 4 to 6 in my class, for example. This is the whole year mapped out basically in an Excel sheet. So here's the week, and this was I just filled this in because, just for basically an example. So let's say your theme, if you're a theme-based educator, your theme in the first week is all about me. Okay, what are your overall and specific expectations for language and reading? What are they for writing? What are they for math? All the way down, what are they for physical education, French? You would have to list those from the Ontario curriculum. Okay, so, and this is term 1, and then we see term 2, and then we see term 3. The whole year is mapped out on one Excel sheet. Done. When does the educator do this? This is what we do over our summer vacation. This is what I'm doing over my summer vacation. You're thinking you're crazy, you have no life. No, Tarbiyah is my life. This is my passion. I want to do this over my summer vacation. So If the educator is not comfortable enough with the Ontario curriculum or they don't like long-range planning, I'm there to facilitate it for them. So I would make up an Excel sheet like this, give it to them. In August, say, this is what you need to teach. And then I don't just, leave after that. Every week or every 2 weeks, I'm having a meeting with them. Okay, how are you progressing on this? This is not written in stone again, but how are you progressing? Are you falling behind? What can we do to help you out? This is one example of a long-range plan. The other example of a long-range plan is this one. These are like monthly. So again, this is term 1. You'd have one for term 2 and term 3. What's your name of unit? This is like subject-based. So let's say it's math. Okay, you're doing measurement. That's your name of the unit. What are the overall and specific expectations? What's the grade level? How are you going to teach them this? This is where what Abdul Haq said inside here, major teaching and learning activities. We're going to go outside to Britannia Park and sit there in nature and observe certain things. We're going to bring all of our measurement stuff outside. Whatever he said in terms of how he teaches. That's where that would go. What are your major teaching activities and learning activities? What are your resources? Okay, I'm going to go to the Museum of Science and Tech. I'm going to bring in another speaker to teach them. He had Black History Month. He had a whole week of different speakers coming in. That's his resources for teaching that. Assessment for learning, assessment as learning, assessment of learning. They drill this into our heads in Teachers College like you wouldn't believe. So assessment for learning, you assess the students before you do a unit. So let's say you're doing the rocks and minerals unit. You assess them beforehand by saying, okay, write me a journal entry on whatever you know about rocks and minerals. Then you take those journal entries. Now you know what your starting point is. Maybe some of the kids already know. Why start from scratch when they already have X amount of knowledge? Assessment as learning. As you're going along, you're continuously assessing the students. So that you're in the middle of the unit, you're still assessing. Maybe it's a quiz. Maybe it's a project. To know that the information you've taught them, have they actually retained it? And then the last one is assessment of learning, which is what we're most familiar with, which is report cards and tests and quizzes and so on and so forth. That's done at the end of the unit to see how they performed in that. So they have to be able to basically map it out in terms of every unit. How are they going to assess them? Not just at the end, at the beginning, middle, and at the end. And I'm again facilitating and helping them to do that if they need my help. So that's in terms of time frame. In terms of assessment, we have a unique way of assessing the students. This is just this is just an example. For example, okay, we call this the matrix. So this, for example, is, and this would be for a multi-level classroom because it's mathematics, grades 1 to 8. You're not going to have grades 1 to 8 in your classroom. You might have grade 3 to 6 in your classroom, or grade 4 to 6. These are the 5 strands in the Ontario mathematics curriculum. As the child has mastered each strand, you just basically give them a check mark or an X, or you fill that in. They've mastered now number sense and enumeration, for example, for grade 3. So the parents get something like this, along with a progress report, along with comments that tells them, okay, well, where's my child? If we take out this X and we take out, your child's in grade 3, okay, and they get a report card and they've only mastered these 3. Okay, you know exactly what you have to do now to kind of get your child up to par. The teacher knows exactly what to do in terms of that. And that, coupled with this, which are the specific expectations, is what's going to make it work. I know it's a lot of information, but we need to do this kind of stuff so we know that the kids are getting what they need to get. The last point I want to bring up is just communication with the parents. This is vital to the success of Tarbiyah Learning, to any classroom. We must communicate with the parents. So I'm also going to be overlooking that. In kindergarten, we call out something called the WAG, W-A-A-G. It stands for Week at a Glance. And on Friday, they get this sheet of paper. It will tell the parents exactly what we're doing next week. So next week, we're going to the Museum of Civilization. Next week, we're going to be going to the library. Next week, we're baking cookies in the classroom. Next week, whatever is happening, we're learning A, B, and C next week. So the parents usually have little or no questions. So and everything is communicated on that one sheet of paper, Week at a Glance, that we give out at the end of the week. So certain tools like that, it has to be tangible. It's got to be an email format or a letter or something that we need to communicate with the parents. Parents should have access to these. Do you want to come in and see what your child is doing? I'll be more than happy to show it with you. Show it to you. And I have in terms of my teaching, a very open door policy. I don't like to close the door and hide from administrators or parents or anybody. If you want to come in and observe, I have nothing to hide, come in and observe. And then give me suggestions if you have suggestions about it as well. So that's just in a very nutshell and in a glance how we're going to do that. Are there any questions on that? Yes?
Have you thought about using it more? Because some of the things that you're talking about, the individual learning and pacing yourself are pretty.
Yeah, I did state that. My dream, yes, is to go to different parts of the world and open up schools. That's a lifelong dream. This is now personal information. I'm going to be in Ottawa for my master's as well. So I completed my bachelor's education. I'm going to be doing a master's education. And then wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes me, He will take me. So right now I'm committed to Tarbiyah. I'm committed to doing my master's. Now you're probably now thinking how you're going to do your master's and Tarbiyah. The master's courses are all in the evening. So they're like 5:30 to 8:30. So my day will be spent at Tarbiyah and my evenings at the university. So yes, I really have no life. Education is my life. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions about curriculum? Yes?
Have you thought about using it more? Because some of the things that you're talking about, the individual learning and pacing yourself are pretty much covered over there, right?
So I've already talked about JKSK grade 1. We currently don't have any grade 2 or 3 students, so that kind of takes that out of the picture unless we get registrants, and then we figure out based on their level where they would best fit. Our current classes for elementary are grades 3 to 6, so on both sides. So 3 to 6. Having said that, there is only a few grade 3, so again, it really depends on the student body, like who's registering and who's not, but that was our breakdown for this year, grade 3 to 6. And there's certain times, and I teach social studies at the elementary level for the girls class, which in my case, more kids get added, so I have grade 1 to 6 in the same classroom. And when I first went in there, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Grade 1, and social studies is my subject. And I was like, well, how am I going to teach grades 1 to 6 social studies, 3 hours, like when I have like 1 hour time chunks? But alhamdulillah, it works. And I'll tell you why it works. It works because there's only 10 girls in that class. So when you only have 10 girls, and a large half of them are grade 5s, or at the grade 5 level. We have one grade 4, but she's at the grade 5 level. So they're all doing grade 5 work. The grade 1 is just one. She's doing her grade 1. We have one grade 6. She's doing her thing. And we have 2 grade 3s. They're doing their thing. But we always do an activity that we all participate in together. So we'll do group work as a whole group, and then we'll do like individual work, and it just works. So
and just an additional comment to that question, which is a very good one. The way we put in our class, here's our initial way of thinking, right? We had, at the beginning of this year, we had a kindergarten program, then we had a junior elementary program, then we had a senior elementary program, right? Before the high school. So the reason we do this is because curriculum-wise, she probably talked about spiral curriculum. It spirals in these kind of ranges, right? So our junior elementary was grades 1 to 3. Our senior elementary was grades 4 to 7. And our high school we actually included grade 8s in our high school. In the same class as a grade 8, that grade 8 is going to be like, I'm in a baby's class. Because that's when they get cool. That they want to see a better done. So the grade 8s were moved into high school, and suddenly the coolness was around them, right? So that's how we initially started. Now, what I can confidently say about next year, more comfortably say about next year, is it actually depends on registration, right? It depends on the enrollment and who is enrolling, because then we're catering to our student body, right? Instead of designing the platform of this is how it has to be, what if, for instance, junior elementary only has about 2 or 3 students? Is that logistically possible to get an educator to teach these 2 or 3 students and so on and so forth? You see what I'm saying? So because we are differently run than a regular school, a lot of it depends on enrollment. And one example is in the boys elementary class with Brother Troy, there's already a grade 8 for next year. Right? There's 2 grade 8s for next year, because there's 2 grade 7s right now, and they're both continuing on to grade 8, right? So he already has grade 8s. So we're definitely accommodating the grade 8 curriculum in his class. You see what I'm saying? But in the girls' elementary, there's no grade 8s next year. So are we accommodating a girls' grade 8 class? So far, no. But if we get enough number to do it, then absolutely we'll be on the curriculum and we'll be making the splits of classes accordingly. So that's something that we should know. A lot does depend on student enrollment and like-mindedness of parents and all of that stuff as well.